We're out here at the Sonora Plot North Farm here today. It's one of the about 4 to 7 acres. We call it 4 acres total of production going on here. Mixed crop vegetables, small commercial vegetable crops, and also in the back, as you can see, field corn for use in livestock. Mr. Cleaver, Travis Cleaver, is here today with us talking about the problems that happened from the beginning to the end. And I'll let you go at it, Mr. Cleaver. Just tell us an overview what was going on there.
All right, over here, we started out with tomatoes, watermelon, squash, peppers, green beans, okra, just a different variety of vegetables. One of the biggest problems we had was got planted late to start everything off. Everything's got to be done in a timely manner. We got out probably 4 weeks late, so we're going to automatically miss the top money sales. We also, big problem we're going to have to face is weed production. We've got, right now it's early in the season, not too bad, but we're going to have to take control of the weeds. Water was a big problem we thought we was going to have, as far as trying to have enough water pressure to water a 265, 300-foot row. But by taking the pressure regulator out, making some adjustments, we're able to water not as much as we like, but we'd have to break it down into 3 increments of water. That's a problem. Rushing the plant, 2 men trying to do a 4-man job. We messed around and didn't take the proper notes and label which variety we planted where, so now we're just kind of doing a guessing game and waiting to see when it comes into production.
Stop right there what he talked about at the beginning of the year. We came in here, we had to hope to have this close to planted around May the 5th. We got a little short on time by Mr. Cleaver and myself working with other small commercial vegetable farmers in the first year, trying to get them ready to go, which pushed this actual plot back. And as you can see, we're getting production here. Today's June the 13th. We're getting a lot of production, a lot of foliage put on. But had we done as we had planned back in the winter, this would already been in the A+ production, just like at Joe Brown Road at his house. Another thing he's talking about was water pressure on 265 plus feet of linear plastic, plus going up and down hill. We got a lot of water pressure down at the bottom hill, can't get it to push up. So what we did was take that 12 to 25 pressure regulator off of the fertigator and try to fix it that way. We've seen some progress in that. Now we can water a little bit more rows at one time, and it's coming on pretty good now. So that was a big challenge. The challenge was to get everyone that wanted to get in these enterprises to have a chance to use black plastic culture by utilizing shared use equipment. That's equipment that's shared with more than 5 farms. We were moving that equipment around all year, so we're sitting here June 13th, still not done. We're at a hiatus right now, but we're still not done planting, and should be done planting June 1st. That gives you 4 to 5 weeks of straight continuous planting of your warm crops. Tell them a little bit about what went on Joe Brown Road at your own house and whatnot, with the cold crops and everything starting early there.
First year early. This is our 3rd year planting on black plastic. It's the earliest we've ever been able to plant. Still had a lot of management issues. We had gave our seeds to an individual. Seeds didn't come back on due time. We ended up having to buy seeds and replant, which put us back even farther. So instead of planting 1st of March, we started planting the end of April. And so there you go. Now you got a lot of plastic down with things like broccolis and cabbage, cauliflower that never make it to the table because of the heat. So you out double. And that was our first problem. And we finally, eventually, after 3 different sets of plants like that, we was able to eliminate and find different grower as far as our seeds. There we still, biggest problem in Joe Brown Road, I'd say, is probably the weed problem. Once again, this is nothing like Joe Brown Road. We've got to fight a lot more weeds through the cuckleberries. First 2 years we try to go straight organic, no weed spray, no herbicides. It's impossible to do with the type of work that type of off-farm work we have. That was probably, we was able to get plants through Mr. Jewell, finding plants in Allen County. That I have with tomato production probably 2 weeks away, hopefully before 4th of July, which is still not where we want to be, but we are getting closer every year. Water there, we like the purple stereo, you like to be watering off your well. Leave all your city water alone because the water bill goes up anywhere between $40 to $100, you know. And probably more than that when you first start getting your beds wet. So you're looking at $100 a month right there that's added expense. Those are some of the problems that we face in Joe Brown. Fencing, definitely need to put up a better fence, you know, so we don't have to worry about livestock getting where they don't need to be. That's a problem as well. That's pretty much, you know, sums it up as far as what's going on the farm in North part of Kentucky. Oh, by the way, sweet potatoes sponsored by Kentucky State University. We appreciate that. We just got them planted. Hopefully next time y'all see them, they'll go out and roll out the road. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Now, what Mr. Cleaver was talking about at his home plot, Joe Brown Road, which is about half an acre. Even there, we had mistakes because we should have been in there earlier. We entrusted a local grower to grow the transplants to put in. They weren't up to par per se, and that set it back for another month. As you get into this game, you have to build trust, and that's why the JBTC per se exists informally, because you try to build trust among the people within the group, and each person in that group has a specialized niche of expertise which they could do. We should have a grower within our own group, if not two, where we can go get our own plants. You know, we're putting out more than about 50 to 60,000 plants a year. Now that we're bumping up on our larger plots here, we could reach up into the hundreds of thousands. So, you know, you got to have that all controlled and ready to go before the year starts. He talked about out here on this plot especially, and also at the Joe Brown plot, writing down things, record book keeping things going in your head and also on paper to know what you planted, where you planted, and when you planted it. You know, when you come out in a plot this size and you look at cucurbits that look alike until they start bearing fruit, you really don't know what you have. So, you know, but that's once again, lack of labor, lack of equipment, share use equipment. You always stretch for time. You go out here and plant and try to get it in before the rain comes, because if you get caught rain, you back another month. And then you deep down into June like we are now without plants in the ground. So I do recommend going ahead and getting things done if you have to, but it's not the opportune and correct thing to do. At the Joe Brown plot, he was talking about cold crops. Cold crops needed to be in early so they could have been off at this time of the year. It's June the 13th, we're still pulling cold crops. That's a problem. Your broccoli went to bolt, your peas are starting to slow down, which I commend Mr. Cleaver here. Beautiful peas in June the 1st, June the 13th. Awesome looking peas, but imagine what they would have been had they been put in earlier on the correct time span. We had kohlrabi, we had all these beautiful lush items of cold crops that could have went to stores, could have went to people's own houses, and also could have went to produce auctions, but we didn't do our marketing. And that's one thing that me as an agent takes upon myself, and you know, I hope he's mad at me, because I want him to be, because we should have did better marketing. But as we discussed in the winter of 2011, this past winter, you cannot go out here and promise something to anyone without knowing you can grow it yourself. So as you can look out here, and as we can show you back at Joe Brown Road, Mr. Cleaver is on board with learning how to do the intricacies of planting small commercial vegetable crop and getting it off with A+ production. Now we have to bring in our other partners and whatnot around the Commonwealth and in the region in order to get them up to par. When you get up to par across the board, you can go and see if you can find some big markets such as supermarket chains and also restaurant chains that will take your produce further. So this is the plot, y'all. once again, he told you the sweet potatoes, we have Puerto Rican Reds, a few of those. About 1/8 of the plot's Puerto Rican Red, and then the 7/8 of the plot's going to be a traditional commercial variety called Beauregard. As I showed you earlier, we got a few whites. Excuse me, we're going to have some Nancy whites, I believe, Nancy Halls, and some other type of white sweet potatoes going in too. But as I showed you earlier, we had a triangle pattern that we try to get down on this plastic, which is basically not an industry know-how. As a matter of fact, not a lot of people are doing a lot of plastic culture sweet potatoes. What we like about the plastic culture sweet potatoes is that you're going to get more sweet potatoes on the row. They're going to grow faster. You're going to get production about a month earlier. So if it takes 90 days, we're going to say it's going to take us 60 days to get off number one size sweet potatoes off this plot. And once again, there's that triangle pattern right there. 1, 2, 3. What that gives us, like I said, is going to give us at least 9 inches of growing space in between each one of the cells, each one of the plants there, and that allows us to get the nutrients that to the plant that is needed. In a traditional system, they want you to plant, I believe, 12 inches apart in rows of rows that are how wide are the rows on traditional? They're going to be a little bit wider than that, I believe, right? I think they are 36 inches. 36 inches, which is 3 feet. So as you can tell, we only got 3 feet of plastic. So if you started one there, we would have another row right over here. Not to mention you have to do all the healing continuously, week after week, in order to weeding and hoeing week after week. In this system, we got rid of all that and try to decrease labor and increase production and decrease the time of production.
People always seem like they run good on things like that.
Oh, of course. Squash too. That's why I think, squash is not going good right now, price-wise. All right, what we got here, we're standing on about at the climax of the hill here. As we come up the row, and you just see in production that as it should be, all up the row. There's the cleavers up there fertilizing right now. Make sure the water pressure is correct. Checking on leaks, as he should do as a tune farmer. And checking his rows, looking for production. Got small squash coming on, got small bell peppers coming on, but we're picking those off in order to make the plant flourish in its early stage of life, so that we can take the plant throughout its maturity for at least 8 to 10 weeks of cropping production, which on plastic cropping over is a little bit harder to do because of the ready access of water and nutrients. Tomatoes in the first row there, then we got squash behind that, then pickling cucumbers behind that, which you cannot see. Also, we have okra in that row over there also. Yeah. This plot has a total of 9 total crops and several varieties within each crop. 9 total crops at this plot. Under SCV production, we got about 3 acres of production, 2.5 acres of production of SCV, and about 3.5 acres of field corn.